And amid the vigils and prayer services this weekend in South Carolina, there was also this rally in Columbia, South Carolina. Thousands of people gathered to urge state lawmakers there to remove the Confederate flag from the grounds of the state capitol. And the state's Republican governor, Nikki Haley, hinted on Friday that state lawmakers will likely deal with the issue in the coming months.
15 years ago, the General Assembly at the time, they had a conversation. The Republicans and Democrats and everybody came together on a consensus to bring the Confederate flag down off of the dome, and they put it on a monument out in front. I think that conversation will probably come back up again. And, you know, what we hope is that we do things the way South Carolinians do, which is have the conversation, allow some thoughtful words to be exchanged, be kind about it, come together on what we're trying to achieve and how we're trying to do it. I think the state will start talking about that again.
And that talking could start in December when the state legislature reconvenes. And as we reported on this network first on Friday night, Republican State Representative Doug Brannon is now vowing to introduce legislation to remove the flag from the Capitol when the legislature does return to session. And this morning, we learned that a second Republican lawmaker in South Carolina also says that he would support removing the flag. Representative Brannon joins us now live from Greenville, South Carolina. Representative, thank you for taking a few minutes this morning. I really appreciate it. First, I just wonder if you could share with us your thinking I know you were close friends with a state senator who was killed here, and just what thinking led you to say it's time to take the flag down now?
Well, thank you for the question. It's been time to take the flag down, but I simply can't let Senator Pinckney's death go unrecognized. This flag must come down. It is a divisive symbol in this state, and it really has no business on the state capitol grounds. It should have come down 5 years ago, and I say 5 years ago because that's how long I've served in the House. I should have filed this bill 5 years ago.
Have you spoken to we say there's one other Republican state representative now who's come forward and said, Gary Clary from Pickens, South Carolina, has come forward and said he also wants it to come down. Are you hearing this from other Republicans, other of your colleagues in the GOP as well?
Yes. I've had about 23 fellow Republicans have vowed to support the bill. I can't suggest that they've all vowed to co-sponsor as Judge Clary has. But yes, I've heard from a number of Republicans and obviously Democrats as well.
So do you expect, I mean, because as I say, this is an issue that's just, it's been in South Carolina state politics in a way, it's been in national politics for decades now. Do you expect, though, that the end is in sight now when it comes to removing that flag from state capitol grounds?
Well, I'm not going to use the word expect, but I'm certainly hopeful. I hope and I pray that Senator Pinckney's death gets us to a place where we should have been a long time ago. So I'm hopeful, but I'm not ready to say expect.
And what is the timetable here? We say the legislature is out until December. Is that correct? They won't reconvene till December. Is there any way this could be visited before December?
Well, no, I don't believe so. We are technically still in session because we haven't finalized the state budget yet, but we're operating under what's called our sine die resolution, which gives us very limited options as far as what we are able to do. We don't actually go back into session until January, but there is a pre-filing period in December, and that's when I intend to file this piece of legislation.
I wonder, too, if you could speak just about the role that this debate over the flag has played in politics in South Carolina. As I've been reading up on this in the last few days, I've seen there was one of your colleagues, and I can't remember who it was exactly, a Republican state legislator who basically said, look, this is an issue that every politician in the state is scared to tackle because they might lose their primary, they might lose their general election. I think David Beasley had been the governor there about 20 years ago. A lot of people think he lost his seat because of this issue. Can you just talk about the significance of this flag debate to politics in South Carolina? It's such a fraught issue.
Well, I'm certainly aware of how politically divisive the issue is, and in fact, I will tell you now that Gary Clary has made his desires public. I spoke with him on Friday in my home, and I told him not to co-sponsor the bill. I told him, I said, look, I'm willing to risk my political career. I'm not willing to risk anybody else's. I would like to think that over the past 15 years it has become a less deadly issue from a political standpoint, but clearly Wednesday night that point was driven home. I hope that we can have a conversation and that supporters of this bill will not lose their primaries. I'm going to tell you that personally, I am more concerned with doing my job than keeping my job. So if the flag comes down and Brandon loses in a primary, I'm perfectly fine with that.
And I finally want to ask, as we say today, that the doors are opening again at Emmanuel AME Church. There's going to be a service there this morning. You served with the Reverend State Senator Clementa Pinckney. Just your thoughts this morning on his legacy as a person, the man you knew, if you just give you a chance to share your thoughts about him.
Thank you so much. You know, I didn't really know what I would say until Friday afternoon when I saw the bond hearing. You know, the Clementa Pinckney that I knew had that big booming voice and that ever-present smile. But when I heard those family members step to the microphone and speak to that shooter about love, about forgiveness, and about giving his life to Christ, it kind of dawned on me even more so how impressive a teacher Senator Pinckney was, because he taught his parishioners love and forgiveness and salvation, and each one of those people stood up and they expressed the lessons that they learned from Senator Pinckney. Can you imagine what an incredible teacher that man was? That's the person that Clementa Pinckney is and was, and I want the people of the United States to know about. Watch that bond hearing and you'll see my friend Senator Pinckney.
South Carolina State Representative Doug Brandon, who will introduce legislation to remove the Confederate flag from State House grounds in South Carolina. Thank you for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you.